Well, with everything that is going on with the COVID crisis, our kids are having to deal with so much. And now the nation is facing yet another crisis, this one on race. And we're now, of course, in the second week of these protests that are sparked by the tragic death of George Floyd, who died in the hands of police in Minneapolis. And as the nation unrest continued, parents like us are having to have really tough conversations with their children about race, protests, and police brutality. So here to help us educate and protect our kids is psychiatrist Dr. Janet Taylor. Dr. Taylor, thank you so much for coming back, and we'll just get right into it. How do you explain to your kids about the current atmosphere, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, the protests and racism?
Well, you can say to your kids, listen, you know how you feel when you ask me to do something and I say no, and you say why, and I say because I said so? All these protesters are saying that's not good enough. Because I say so is not good enough. So they've taken to the streets, they've used their mouths, and in a thoughtful and, for the most part, very orderly way, saying that we disagree and that that is a natural part of life, and we can teach our kids to think and to how to disrupt when they're feeling something that they don't agree with. So it's a really opportune teaching moment about how to be a creative thinker and how to stand up for when you disagree with something.
And Janet, you always say that obviously these tough conversations have to be age appropriate, but how do you recommend that we talk to our children about the police in general?
Well, we don't want our children to be afraid of the police, and we just say, you know, how sometimes there are people who may have the right intention, but they do bad things. Most of the police are good people. You can go to them for help, and most of us still do, but there are some police officers who have made bad choices. But we want our kids to see the police as a safe entity, a safe structure, because they do help us.
Jen just mentioned age appropriateness, so I ask, what's the youngest age you should start talking with your child about these difficult topics?
Well, as important as it is to talk about difficult topics like racism, which we know has existed for a long time, you know, when kids are 3 or 4, as a child of color, they will experience incidents, whether it's a classmate that says something, a teacher. So whether we know or not, as parents, it's happening. So what we can do is expose our children of all colors to books that have characters that are black. Listen to their conversations, and when your child says that something has happened to them because of the color of their skin or because of their hair texture, we need to listen and we need to show them that we are doing something about it. It doesn't mean being angry, but showing them in a calm, thoughtful way about how to handle an insult or slight, and especially to other adults, to make sure it doesn't happen again. We can no longer ignore the pain that racism causes to our children.
And is there ever a situation where you would recommend actually shielding your child from racism as a topic?
I would never recommend that you shield your child from racism as a topic, because as important as it is, the conversation about racism, it's about anti-racism. And what does that mean? That means that we teach our kids, not that we're all alike, but that we can have the same values, and our differences can suggest beauty. Our differences can be something that we learn. So when there is an incident that is unfair, there's an incident where somebody tries to use their power in a way that's destructive, we need to address it as a teachable moment.
And in terms of those teachable moments, how can parents explain in the best way to their children about their race and about other races?
Well, one way is to stop using the word race, which we know is a social construct. It's a meaningless term. Talk about people in terms of their ancestry, their history, their culture, how they see themselves in terms of their ethnic origin.
And Janet, I mean, mental health professionals like yourself are in short supply as it is. You always give us such good advice. What resources would you recommend to help us start this conversation about race?
Well, I just came across a great organization. It's embracerace.org that has wonderful points for parents with their kids, and also buy books that have different characters. You know, A Snowy Day, Ezra Keats, was written in 1962. It's the #1 book taken out of the New York Public Library, and what does it show? A young black kid, Peter, who's going out into the white snow. Use books like that and just see how your kids react, but show them, have them experience different cultures and different races, and books are a great way to do that.
They certainly are, and your words of wisdom have been so helpful, Dr. Janet Taylor. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you for your time and your expertise.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.